Nobody's watching anyways, so
Doesn't matter.
We'll just talk about it. We'll
You
get
didn't
these things out of the way.
You didn't give us a link. I can't tell what you can see. You didn't give anyone a link to like go to.
I said go to YouTube. That's where we go. Oh, it helps if I turn the microphone on. Yeah, fucking Bush League stuff right here.
You know, like, so, what you can do is just give a life update while I go take care
of
it.
A life update.
While I go take care of our life
for
update.
the people, yeah. Everybody knows what a life. We post like 900 of those things a day.
Yeah, I do. But
yeah. For all of you, well, for the 0 of you watching right now, this is weird. This is like, maybe I shouldn't watch that. Sorry, this is our first time doing this live. Not that anybody's watching yet, but so there's like, I can watch myself real time on this screen right here, and then ooh, look at that. See, we got that stuff going on. So I gotta learn not to cough on that too. So this is our first YouTube live, and it's our first YouTube live trying to be ultra fancy with multiple camera angles. There's going to be a lady sitting right there, which she's going to sit in that chair right there. But as you can see, we have a baby monitor right there because we've had a baby. So here's what the trip is for me, because this is the first time I'm doing it. I have a monitor right there that I can see all of the feeds. It's showing me what these cameras are looking at. And so that's real time, obviously, as we're sitting here talking and saying it. But then over here on the computer is our YouTube. And the YouTube is, there's a delay in it clearly, as far as what the audio is. So let's hope like hell that, yeah, that all works as supposed to. Pull this thing up here. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I'm assuming it's all working as supposed to be. You know, we're live. This thing's doing its thing. I mean, you can see that thing called OBS. Look at all those little things sparkling there. Liz is down there taking care of the baby. So we'll just go with that. If anybody does jump on to our actual live here, feel free to let us know. You can, I guess you can like talk back to the live. I mean, that's the whole point, is for us to be able to see this stuff and watch. Let me see what concurrent viewers say. We're gonna go with 0 right there. So we'll see if anybody like jumps on this thing and checks us out. Yeah, so this is our trial run. This is our dry run. This is to work all the bugs out, I guess you could say. So this is going to be super interesting to see how this works. And now Liz is back, so you can sit down. Let me see if you're still. Oh, we gotta get you. There you go. Now you're focused. Don't look at that. Look at me, because that's where the camera is. There.
Yeah.
So yeah. There. See. You keep looking at that.
I'm watching the screen.
Yeah, there's nobody on this right now, so that's pretty cool.
It's fun.
The weird part is if you look at the screen. Yeah. So I already talked about that, but I have a screen that.
What do we expect for our first one? Like
perfection. This better be perfect.
Well, I have to admit, like, this is all a lot cooler than I imagined when you were telling me about the whole split screen thing.
Yeah,
it's a little much.
It's not split screen. Look, you got that. You got that.
I know.
You got that. Yeah.
The Modbot is like on point.
Oh God, you make a lot of people mad right here. Keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, she just had a baby like 10 weeks ago, and she's sitting here talking about stuff that is not even pertinent. So. Yeah, so this is our first one. Sorry that we're kind of stammering and stuff, but first off, the fact that we have a baby, so trying to schedule this was going to be a challenge, because if we do it any earlier, baby's up, she's obviously going to be a part of all of this, and she's young, yeah. So
the baby's still awake. She's just kind of hanging out in the bed.
Is she?
Oh yeah, she's just staring at the ceiling with pacifier in her mouth.
Oh, And usually the kid's asleep by this time, so we tried to schedule this. But if we push it too late, if we get later than this, Mom starts getting tired here, and then East Coast viewers, people around the world, all those
East Coast viewers. we should cater to all the East Coast viewers.
Yeah, you never know. That somebody somewhere is going to look at that.
Cater to Mom more so.
Cater to you.
Yeah.
You're going to do this at 2:00 in the afternoon during
No,
when you want to
5:30
take
in
a
the
nap.
morning when I'm like bright and cheery.
Nobody's getting up at 5:30 in the morning to do this. So.
But our East Coast is.
What I also need to remember is to keep switching this thing here. So.
It's okay.
Yeah. So talk. Stop looking at that. You have to look at me. So that's what I have to get used to doing is switching that. Sorry. Live production,
We could
folks.
just have like the two camera for a while, unless we're like seriously having a long conversation about something, and then of course put the camera on me.
Yeah, we'll do that. That'll be. And then I also have to stop looking down at that thing. I have to remember the camera's
You know
right
what you
there.
should watch is the Trainer Road YouTube lives.
They
They've
do
been
good
doing it
ones.
for a while.
Right. Well, let's not plug other shows on our show. You should watch our
I'm
live.
also drinking a pulp culture.
Wow, not sponsored. Hold it up for the camera. Show them. It's right here. Yeah.
Pulp culture.
Nice.
Only my third alcoholic beverage in a year.
Nice.
Yeah.
You're not a drunk or anything. So, for those of you jumping on here or not, don't look at those analytics. They're very frightening when it shows 0 people and 0 stuff.
That's okay.
I know, yeah. See, nobody showed up to the Rolling Stones' first concert or anything like that. So,
They saw the replay.
yeah, this is just going to be natural. Like a husband and a wife sitting here across from each other with
We don't get
microphones
to
stuck
talk
in
any
their
other
face.
time, so.
True. That baby's just wrecking everything for us.
Yeah.
So we are working out some bugs. Hope, like literally, I tested this out earlier today. It all looked good. I think all the audio should be working and whatnot. We'll play it back later and see whether that all worked or not. So what are you doing over there?
Sorry.
Mom also got a baby monitor today for the first time too. So yeah, we're now.
I can't see it, so I have to rely on my hearing.
Which is not good whatsoever. You can't see her? Does it have an IR mode?
I need to find a better spot for it.
It literally looks like one of those, we're watching like a barn owl or something like that. So, okay. Yeah, that's really terrible radio for the compelling video right there. Let's watch the live broadcast of our baby here.
It's the highlight of our night.
Yeah, time away. So we decided to do this live, and this was my grand scheme to do all that. So that closer to your face. You don't have to lean closer. You can just move it closer, but it's got to be like right there. So our big grand scheme on all of this was to try some new technology for people to watch. We've done Instagram lives and stuff before, and on our dog training page. Speaking of, right on cue, dogs. And Instagram Live is super limiting for us in that we couldn't sit here like this and do stuff like this. We wouldn't be able to have that fancy. I'm so enamored with it. I'm so you have no idea what this took to
make a video just to have this here.
Yeah, 100%. I spent all the money on it, and now we're finally using it. So, and I have to keep remember switching to you when you talk. So that's gonna be tough. Joe, the Colorado kid's so much better at this than I am. It's probably because he actually is an engineer for
It might be your
radio.
first time. It's okay.
It's literally my first time. See, I didn't switch to you when you said that.
It's okay.
There you go. Say it again. Say it in that nice voice too.
Just do it when I talk for longer, which won't be hardly ever. It'll be on you the whole time.
Better not be. Like, that's boring for everyone. So we decided to try out a new platform. Number one, because of the limitations of Instagram. It's just challenging. We have to set a phone up. The audio is super challenging. We have to set it far enough away so both of us can be in frame, but then you're like all the way across the room and you can't read what people are saying. So there was a lot of serious limitations. Right on cue. Mom's gotta go.
Actually get her to sleep. It'll be fine.
All right, so Mom's gonna get her to sleep as we watch her walk out of the room, and we'll just put it back on me. So the theory behind this thing, since I've been rambling now for how long have we been on this, is a bit. Oh look, there's a viewer. We have a viewer. Somebody say something. Oh, look at there. Unprofessional Kyle. Babe, you just left the room. Unpro Kyle. He's your number one viewer. Oh my god, I gotta say something back. This is gonna be weird typing on this too, because I'm used to like you can't type back on Instagram too. So, oh, hey, unprofessional Kyle, our number one viewer. Hold on, let me turn this. This is literally the worst radio on the planet. I'll also have to turn that down. Nobody wants to hear mama talking to the baby. I mean, it could be cute, mom talking to her baby. Like, that's endearing and that's cute. So, so, Mr. Kyle, please let me know. Shoot me, make a comment here. Tell me everything's okay on this. I literally have tested this a couple times. I think that it's going well, and so I want to make sure the audio is the way it's supposed to be. You can give me real time real time feedback. Maybe Kyle also probably left, so he got bored with this. There she is. She's back. Don't trip over any of those cords strewn about here. This looks like a real live TV room here. So hopefully he gets me back. Oh yeah, focus. I do like the focus on those things. All right, so I don't want to get distracted. So we decided.
What are we talking about tonight?
What's that?
So what are we talking about tonight?
We're going to talk about Wantrepreneur stuff. Basically, entrepreneur stuff. What it takes to own a dog training business, what it takes to be successful in business, and should you even be a business owner. So that's our topic for tonight. What we really wanted to talk about, what this is going to be weekly, it's called Trainer Talks. We're going to try and jump on here as much as our baby will allow. We're going to have a topic for the week. We'll put out some fun videos during the week to kind of preload that, talk about what the conversation is going to be, and then Liz and I are going to jump on here during on Wednesdays at 7:30 as it stands right now. I turned that down so we all couldn't hear you talking to the baby, just in case you started to talk to the baby about how much you hate daddy. So yeah. And then the world has to hear that. That's embarrassing. So I gotta get that closer to me. Sorry folks, we have some technical difficulties. I gotta move closer. Oh, then I might get out of there. We go. All right. I can't pull that too far. It'll unplug everything and then we'll be screwed. The space shuttle will not launch. So what we wanted to talk about really was each week a theme for the week on how to help dog trainers. We've been doing this for a bit now together, and we've been doing stuff without each other for a while. So we have some unique perspective and some unique views. It's just so interesting to sit here across and talk to you, because usually we're sitting in the car. Yeah, it's actually quite frightening. Most of our conversations are in a car or somewhere. So anyways, I'm just gonna look here. Yeah, we never sit across from each other. Even when was the last time we went to dinner?
Pre-baby, that's for sure.
Well, yeah, COVID fucked a lot of stuff up too there. So. Got all distracted by looking in your eyes. So for me, I wanted to see what we could do to bring some, a lot of people talk to dog owners and, here's how you train your dog. And then a lot of dog trainer stuff is here's how to train dogs. And I think we'll talk about that at some point. But what we really, what are you doing over there? You really don't want to look at that live.
I just want to see who's.
Okay, that's fine. But then when we put that camera on, then people are going to see us there too. We probably could put it right there at some point, but that would be weird because we're going to keep looking over at that. So anyways, so Trainer Talks is going to be specifically geared towards more business related stuff each week for dog trainers. And then what I've been talking to Laura about, from our video coach kind of person, she helped define really what specifically dog trainers are dealing with. Yeah, we can help with business, we can help with this, but really what are we trying to do is we're trying to help people avoid burnout, because we've dealt with that personally. We've dealt with that constantly here. I mean, you're always on the verge of it, no matter if you work for somebody else, no matter if you're doing it on your own, you have burnout always there. So I think for us, that's going to be the focus each week, is whatever the topic is also helping avoid burnout. What can you do to make life a little bit easier, or a little more sane, or to have days off, or take a vacation, or all those things. So
yeah, that's the overarching message.
Yeah.
but we'll have some topics that'll help you in kind of smaller ways as well.
Yeah.
Hopefully people can hear me. I'm a really quiet talker.
It probably helps if I turn your microphone up too. Yeah. So talk more. Keep talking. Say things. Say words.
Words.
All right. I'll monitor that as we move forward. I think somebody else jumped out. Oh.
You were?
Yeah, Kyle jumped on
Jake?
here. Unprofessional Kyle.
Was Jake here?
No, those lames didn't even do it. One of our mountain biking buddies is the first
Oh.
viewer on here. Yeah,
Don't
Kyle.
talk.
You remember Kyle.
Don't talk like gadgets. Just stick to
Kyle
the
don't
plan.
know anything
Stick
about
to
this
the
stuff.
plan.
Joe's the one
Don't
that knows
have.
all this stuff. Kyle, he'd be overwhelmed by
Can we
this.
talk about that? How like I'm a planner and you're no. We'll digress a little later about that.
Yeah, that'll be in another talk about what planner stuff is. So, but no, Kyle said, "Sounds great, still ugly though," and that's super
That was
rude.
before I got here.
I'm a little late on that switch. Yeah, Jesus Christ, Kyle, you said that right to her face too. That's mean. Yeah, she just had a baby and everything. You shouldn't call her ugly. She looks amazing. I know you're not talking about me. All right. So now that we've sit here and bantered for, low. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's going to be, you're going to have to put that mic real close to your face and talk like, not that close. Yeah, she just touched it. Now they got COVID all over. Oh, then there comes the baby. This baby's gonna wreck every single live here, just for us. This damn baby. All right. Well, we can't wait on her. We're going to keep moving forward since I've been like blabbing for a good solid 15 minutes or so now. All right. Here's the meat and potatoes of it. This topic today, it's probably like, for me, it's stress too. I've literally never been really concerned about lives. If I know what I'm talking about, I usually feel pretty good about it. So to sit here and be like, I'm nervous. What I'm really nervous about is all this shit. This camera and this camera and this camera and that light and all of these monitors and all of these things. I'm worried about it all going just fucking haywire. So if it does, it does. And then I'll be put out of my misery slowly. That's probably why I'm a little nervous here. And then obviously trying to get Liz in here, like literally we didn't have the camera set up before she walked in here because she's been working with the baby. And then the baby is another complexity added onto this. So we'll muddle through it. Hopefully she'll be able to be a little bit more solid in the future. The baby's a little bit more scheduled. Those are things that just come with having less than a 3-month-old. So So what I wanted to talk about this week's topic it's called Wantrepreneur. And for me, I think it's really important to talk about that subject. First and foremost, when we're looking at trainer talks, if we're going to talk weekly about how to run a dog training business, how to be more successful at dog training, how to not burn yourself out is the underlying message on all of that. If we're going to talk about that stuff every single week, I think it's really important to start off right off the bat and say, should you even run a business? Are you a business person? And obviously the word's called entrepreneur. So I was thinking about it a while back and thought of like Wantrepreneur, and that's really somebody that has all the desire in the world to be a business owner. Like you want to do this. You look at all the videos and you look at the Gary V stuff and you look at all the shit that's out there. And I will say that like Instagram is probably one of the worst, but YouTube to some extent, and Facebook is not super geared towards that. Facebook really just kind of actually, it's more for like multi-level marketing. Should you sell Pampered Chef to all your friends? No offense to the Pampered Chef people out there, but that's not a real business and we all know it. So sorry, I have to say it. So selling that kind of stuff to your friends, yeah, it's kind of a business, but it's also really not, it's just a way to make a little extra income. And I'm sure if you're a hustler, you could make a little bit of money, but that's not what it's geared towards. So Facebook isn't really the platform for that, but Instagram sure as shit is. And YouTube to some extent is, especially now with the advent of making money off YouTube. And, there's ways to make lots of money off of doing stuff like this, obviously much more professional and way better than it. Just turn the camera on YouTube. There we go. Did she wake up again? No. She's like clockwork, dude. She is. She's so much like clockwork usually, and tonight she's just like not having it. I think she knows we had something to do. So, damn us for trying. So, with everything like that, YouTube and Instagram, and I think Instagram for me is kind of one of those biggest culture things where you look at that and everybody has the appearance of that they're just out there crushing it and hustling and getting cars and houses and all that stuff. And a lot of that is actually fake. There's a lot of stuff that has come out where people take out loans for $10,000 just to have cash laying around, or they rent a car that they could clearly never buy. And so they're giving, and I actually see some folks right now that are business coaches that I'm like, yeah, I don't think you're making the money that you are, but hey, whatever. If they want to put the story out there and people want to pay them, at some point you'll figure out that they're a schmuck, or you won't, and then and maybe they know more than you do. So that's all that really matters. So I think Instagram gives us all the idea, and we see, in the dog trainer world specifically, we see people that put out the facade, put out the public persona of all of these things. And the reality is a lot of that stuff isn't really true. They're actually doing far worse than you believe, and or they have a huge team of people doing stuff, and so they're not really running the show the way that you might have to. So there's a lot of realities out there that are not real, and they're not real reality. I think that's like cancels itself out. So what we want to come on here is, we're two people that run a dog training business out of our home, and that's as basic as it gets, other than being one person. And Liz, when she's not playing with the baby, will not playing, she's doing her motherly duties, who she's excellent at, and working on getting her sleep. So Liz started her journey dog training, working on her own dogs, and then started her own business. I'll let her talk about that when she's able to join us. So she started her own business, and then she ended up working for a really large trainer down in Southern California. Very well known, a big influence on the internet dog training scene. She went through that training program, the Train the Trainers workshop, and then ended up working there and was their director of training, and then was in charge of customer contact. So we'll call it like business director or whatever the title is. And that's where I met her. And so then my journey has been opening a dog training business. My background's in law enforcement. I was a cop for well over 20 years, and then was working with canines in a lot of different capacities, and in training, being involved in training, and working around working dogs. And I thought, for me, that was like, hey, I like that, and I want to own a business, and so let's do that. My other background is, this isn't the first business that I've owned, and it's not the only business I now currently own. I had a helicopter technology consulting business. Because I was in an air unit for my agency, I gained a lot of very specific skills with technology, using the technology in the helicopter, as well as rescue stuff. So I was paid by a company to go train rescue type things, and then also I was paid by a couple different companies consulting wise. So I formed my own business there. I had no idea what I was doing whatsoever in the business world. I ended up partnering with a guy from Texas who was just an amazing human being. I was fortunate enough to even meet him. We became partners in that venture, and we were set to do a lot of things. We both had full-time jobs though, and so we came to the conclusion that either we're to make this a serious go, we're going to have to quit our jobs respectively, which no way either one of us want to do that, to go off on this lark. And we're going to probably have to, on top of that, sink about $30,000 to $50,000 each into it. Now, the flip side of that is we both had the potential, well, not we both, our business had the potential to make, I'm going to say literally millions, because there's a company that we were kind of in a roundabout way consulting with, and they're literally making millions off it. So some of those things hurt your heart when you step away from it and go, that's a tough one to know that. But honestly, it was the right decision for both of us and for our families, and I don't regret that at all. That it was something that we definitely needed to do. So we did. We focused on the thing in front of us, but it taught me a lot about business. It taught me a lot about what it takes to grow a business, what it takes to network with people, and what it takes to be successful in business. Because I think a lot of the principles we're going to talk about over coming weeks are applicable to any business out there. They're not just a dog training business. The business fundamentals and business principles on all of this, there's some constants in that. So yeah, that's been my journey. And then I decided to start training dogs for money and started off on that journey. I started going over to people's house for $50 an hour and driving all over Kingdom Come, and felt pretty good about myself because at the end of the day, we're driving literally 150 miles to go do 4 sessions. I made $200, and I thought I was big pimping on that, even though it probably cost me a solid. Well, nowadays it would cost me like $100 to drive there. So
I think I charged more starting out than you did.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, tell us now that
I really
Liz is
don't remember.
now that Liz is back. Tell us a little bit about your how you came to be a dog trainer for a second, but more specifically, your business. Then you start working for a large company in Southern California,
Sure.
and then we'll talk about how you got to go to Canada.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess it ties into the entrepreneur topic here. But I went to school, got a college degree, and I've never used it. And I think it's just because it's just not who I am to go to school and work for someone else, or use my degree to work for someone else. So let's see, when I was back in Hawaii, I was working at the animal shelter there, and I saw a ton of dogs that needed some help. And so I decided to actually, let's back up a little bit. I had really bad dogs, like dogs that pulled me on every single walk. I had these like nice big harnesses that the animal shelter recommended, the front pole ones. First I had these padded ones that you hooked on the back, and that really worked really well. I was basically like I had 2 sled dogs going for a walk or run, and I ended up like bawling on multiple walks. Finally, I found Jeff Gellman on YouTube, of all places, and got to start working with the prong collar and e-collar, got my dogs really well trained. Just to have to, like, side note, this looks really awkward when I'm trying to talk to you, I feel
I'm
like.
listening. I'm listening,
not
babe.
even watching me. Okay.
I'm getting feedback from
Super awkward.
Kyle on your microphone.
Oh.
So real time. So
yeah, so started training my own dogs and got them in a great space. Started training really bad dogs at the shelter, and I was like, hey, why don't I just start my own dog training thing? So I started offering dog training to random people and
in Hawaii.
in Hawaii,
Yeah.
yeah. And then ended up leaving Hawaii, sadly, moved to Denver, Colorado, where I continued to build the business there. I had like a handful of clients before I went to T3 actually. So went to T3. For anyone who doesn't know what T3 is, it was a seminar that was put on by Jeff Gellman, Sean O'Shea, and Tori Smith, like big names in the dog training industry. And I went to that for a week. Like, okay, I know how to train dogs, but I don't really necessarily know how to build a business or do any sort of marketing or anything like that. So I needed to go and learn those things. And I thought, like, who better to learn from than people who are really successful in that business? And so I went to T3, and a couple months later, Laura Morgan, who was working with Sean at the time in LA, reached out to me and said, hey, we'd love for you to come intern with us. And it was their first intern. They wanted to start this intern program, and I was like, heck yeah, that'd be super cool. Like, I'm already building this business over here. I'm also bartending and serving on the side, so just making money, but really in my free time, just trying my best to, build the business. And so I was like, this is perfect. This will help me just like skyrocket the business. And when I come back, I'll have all these clients. And it was just like wishful thinking. But So yeah, I ended up heading out to LA from Denver, packed up all my stuff. I was single at the time. I just had a 1-bedroom apartment and I had to like keep paying rent for a couple months while I was in LA.
Damn.
Put all my stuff in a storage unit and trucked one dog out to my parents, took the other 2 with me to LA, and yeah, and I interned there for a while. The internship was a 3-month gig, and I ended up not being able to leave. I was like, this is amazing. I love this. I love the types of dogs we're working with. I hadn't worked with like super serious, aggressive dogs at that point. I was just, I was working with like your run-of-the-mill dog who pulls on leash. I had a dog from a shelter who had some food aggression issues. That was really tough to work with. Dang it. Dang it, child. I'll just finish up really quick. But, I ended up staying with the good dog, which is who I was interning with. I was their head trainer for a couple of years.
I already talked a lot about all of this.
And
just a quick recap.
And really just fell in love with like working with the clients. I really loved it. That was probably like my jam, was just being able to coach clients, but also train dogs like a mofo. And and then I met you, of course, while you came down to LA once in a while, and you stole me, and I ended up moving up to Northern California 9 months later. That's not when we had the baby, right?
And then we had a baby at the end. So.
Yeah, so here I am. We'll chat more about other stuff later.
Yeah. And on that note, we're gonna gonna go check the baby out. Yeah. So Kyle keeps talking. We'll get that. I did stick my dumb fat head in front of her camera. We gotta work all of those things out on cameras. Like, yeah, there's a lot going on here. This is gonna take a few different things to really work out here. But hey, we do the best we can. So to pick up where Liz was leaving off because of the baby, so I met her down there. She was working down there. I, at the time, had 2 employees. So kind of back to my part of the business, Gold Hill Canine was getting bigger. I did go and shadow with the good dog and with Sean, and it taught me a lot about not what I was doing wrong in business, but really, I think every dog trainer starts off in that space of just charging a little bit, and clearly you have to build skills and stuff like that. So I went down there. I learned a whole bunch more stuff about board and trains and rates and social media and shit I had no idea how to do at all. So best money I've ever spent on that. It was well worth the investment. We'll talk about shadow programs and the investment and what to look for on other and future. What do we call this? A podcast, a live, a broadcast, whatever. Yeah, I appreciate it, buddy. I love the feedback, and I need all the constructive criticism that I can get. You're not gonna hurt my feelings, I promise. Even if you call Liz ugly again, I take it with a grain of salt. She's the one that's got to fight that battle. So, just kidding. I know I'm the ugly one in this. I'm the beast and the Beauty and the Beast thing. So for me, once the business started pivoting to do board and trains and really kind of honing our craft and getting into the rehab space and learning to deal with problematic dogs, not just going over to people's house and dealing with their bouncy lab and teaching it a recall in the front yard and stuff, but honestly, the second dog that I ever trained for money was the most challenging dog. I tell people this all the time, and we've trained collectively. Liz and I have trained a couple thousand dogs easily, and she never met the dog, but I would be hard pressed to find a worse dog. The dog broke me spiritually and egotistically, and everything I thought I knew from working with police dogs and protection dogs, it was gone. It was just a complete and utter failure with this dog. So I had to go find new techniques. I had to find new ways of communicating with owners and dogs. So that started us on a journey with Gold Hill Canine it's been 6 years now, a little over 6 years, probably pushing 7, I think, in the spring. So we had to learn a lot of things the hard way, and with hard lessons come expensive lessons. I shudder to think of the amount of money that I have lost for really stupid decisions. And some of them you kind of have to make and you have to feel that. But other ones are just like not having clarity of purpose in the business and not having direction and not understanding what I want to do. It will cost you time and money. Whereas somebody having singular focus and being purpose driven has a lot better grasp on their finite resources and finite dollars. The problem with the dog training business is you can be profitable pretty quickly. And when I say profitable, you can start making money quickly, which means you have the ability to blow a lot of money quickly. And so for me, learning those lessons, I've had 2 employees at the same time, and now I choose not to have employees currently. We may be changing that in the future. So we've been on a journey with that stuff, and we've learned a lot. And so what I really wanted to be on here tonight to talk the most about is whether this is right for you. The Wantrepreneur topic, the Wantrepreneur thought process for me is helping you decide whether dog training is a business that you can run, or any business. Apply this to any business. You want to start like making jewelry as a living, and there comes so much more. If you have a hobby and you have a passion and you think you're good at something and you enjoy doing that, and then you want to try to monetize that, that's when everything changes. And for me, I was just telling Laura the other day on one of my coaching calls with her that I have always had an out, and this is where when Liz gets that baby to sleep, this is where I really want her to weigh in, because quite frankly, I've had an out this whole time. I have had not a backup plan. I've had an alternate source of income my entire journey in dog training. So other than a short period of time. So I was in law enforcement actively when I started my business. I continued doing that for a while. I separated from service while I was still continuing to run the business in a fashion. I still had employees at that point. Yeah, I did have employees there. And so I medically retired after I moved here, and a lot of different stuff. But it was a long process to separate from law enforcement and medically retire. So I did, and you can find out all about that topic. There's a lot of stuff out there for that. I have a podcast, not to plug all the stuff we're doing, but I do have a podcast that I talk about this stuff. It's a Remedy podcast, and you can check that out on the different streaming platforms. And I actually had an episode 2-3 episodes ago where I go in detail about what my on-duty incident was that was the final straw for me leaving law enforcement, and the precipitous moment. So that all occurred while I was still running a dog training business. So there's a lot going on, and not that my situation is unique. A lot of people face a lot of trials and tribulations. So, but in the process of retiring, there was only I think there was about a 7-month time period where I was supposed to be getting paid. There was never supposed to be a gap in that pay, and it ran out. So for that 7 months, I felt the brunt and the burden of being a dog trainer business owner, that this paid for our lifestyle. Liz was still employed by the Good Dog, so she had that income. But at the time we weren't married, and her income's her income, and I have all these other responsibilities. I have a house. I have a 20-year-old daughter at the time. Well, she wasn't 20 at the time, but she was in high school. And so I have a full life of things that require income. And for the first time ever in my dog training business, it's solely the responsibility of the dog training business. So that was a lot of pressure to now make this and as I said it to Laura the other day, and like I said, now that Liz is back, we can kind of ask her about it too.
Yes, I just hit my stair quota for the day.
The joys of living in a two-story house with a child as well. So having another source of income, and even still currently having a retirement that essentially could pay our bills, would not cover this lavish lifestyle. Like I wouldn't buy that, I wouldn't have bought that, I wouldn't have this sweet hydro flask here. But we have a lot less things, and so
It's cheers.
Yeah, they do kind of tip over. So having the focus of a business where it's completely your income is dependent on that business is a lot. So so that's a question I'll pose to you, since I love doing this where you just leave the room and then come back
Right,
and
you're
then
talking about
yeah,
it.
and so you don't have to move your head, just move it like whoosh, straight in front of your face like that. Okay. There you go, and then speak straight on. So for me, I'll pose the question to you, or I'll just pose the statement of what I was saying is, since I started the business, I've always had a source of income outside of the business. So if the business failed, I could just go, well, failed at that. I'm gonna just be a cop still. I am, and I can work overtime and make money, and so I can do quite well without this job. So that I didn't have the I need to make enough money to quit my job. I had no intentions of retiring when I started this business, and so I've had that luxury. Although I did kind of just talk about that time, that 7-month period where I stopped getting paid 2 days before fucking Thanksgiving, and I was like, we're dead, we're dying. My Bronco got stolen that I was gonna try to sell, and I had to sell off a lot of shit real
Same year
fast.
that I moved up here too.
I definitely think it really was. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Don't worry, baby, I'll take care of us. And I'm now I'm fucking broke.
Now we're living off the good dog income.
Yeah. No, we were never just living off the good dog income, but it got close. It got tight for a little while, but I never had that where I had to make a jump for I'm gonna make enough money to quit my job, but then when I've quit my job, oh shit, this is all on the business, and if I fail at this business, I either have to go skulking back to my job and be like, oh, I failed, and everybody's like, yeah, we fucking told you so, and that would be bad. So you have had a little bit different trajectory than me, so talk a little bit about that, what it was like figuring out that you want to do this and earn your income via that, even though that has changed, and then we'll actually kind of throw out what
the dog training aspect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, same. I mean, I always had another job as well, but I was working a dead-end job. I was literally bartending and serving, so I knew there had to be an end in sight. I didn't want to be that 30-year-old. No offense to you, 30-year-old bartenders, but I didn't want to be that 30-year-old bartender.
We're losing viewers right and left.
Yeah, I didn't want to be that, and so I had goals in mind, and an end in sight, hopefully, and I had to make sure that I was bringing in enough income in order to get rid of the other income, because I was making decent money at the time, and it was easy money. I'd go to work for 5 hours and swing a couple drinks and be back at home in no time. So. Yeah, there's a lot of stress involved with that, and I'm sure that there are many dog trainers out there that probably feel the same way. They're in a job that they don't love, and they'd rather work with dogs and dog owners, and it's scary kind of leaving that comfort. Maybe you have a 401k, maybe you have some insurance, health insurance is really expensive these days, so maybe you have all those things. I've had those
since I was 22, so
leaving the comfort of that is really scary, and if you just don't have insurance for 5 years, it's no big deal. So I'm just
and then you force somebody to marry you because you're having a baby.
Yeah, I needed the insurance. I mean, what can I say? Really didn't do it for that, right? No. But yeah, it can be really stressful and super scary. But I think it takes a certain person to be able to do that. I think there are a lot of people who want to play it safe and would rather be more comfortable sticking with that, and probably always will have the 2 gigs going on, even if they are kind of dabbling in dog training.
But then when you're doing that, you also can run the risk of burning yourself out by doing that. Because now you're working your full-time job, whatever that requires of you, and you're coming home and figuring out when you're going to do social media posts, how you're going to post videos, when am I going to actually train this dog, if you're doing a board and train, who lets the dog out during the day, if you're some people are trapped in their job and can't get to the next level because there's not enough time in the day. So sometimes you make that scary leap and go okay, I'm gonna go on all in on this, and maybe save enough money from your primary job to take a couple months and not earn income. But the pressure becomes really, really quick to have that business be profitable, because as your savings quickly starts to diminish. You did it. You were able to. Were you paid? I don't remember. Were you a paid intern with the Good Dog? Was that when they were still paying?
I started at not being paid, and then I was doing such a good job and doing a lot of work that they started paying me.
Yeah, because they went through a paid period,
it was
and
a very
then
small amount, but it was helpful.
Yeah,
for sure. Because I was not making any money, and again, I had to keep paying rent back in Denver, so I had a savings, and thankfully that little bit of money helped with buying groceries and stuff.
Sure. So I think also too that anybody that's trying to make that leap, especially if you really dislike your current job and you're looking at dog training as being that way out of the life, and this is going to save me. I think you're setting yourself up with some unrealistic expectations right off the bat of it is just a job at the end of the day. I mean, it might be everything to you right now.
Well, maybe that first year, maybe even 2, it's you're on a high because it's really fun and it's you get to make your own hours, even though you're at the whim of dogs and their potty schedule. But I think that first little while is really fun, and that's why I think a lot of people are willing to put in the extra work when they have a full-time job, and then they're like, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna do all the things because I love training dogs and I love helping people, and then 2 years go by and you're like,
and it's like an escape from I'm an accountant, but now I can do this.
Totally.
Yeah. And then it switches to where you quit your job and now this is what you're trying to make a living on, and then those bills are coming due and you're not getting the clients as quick as you want, and you start taking less quality clients, and you're hustling for all the dollars and burning yourself out even faster.
So what type of person succeeds at that kind of stuff, What kind of the topic of what we're discussing here?
You're so good at this. So, you haven't even been in the room for 93% of this conversation.
And you a lot of podcasts.
You really do. I just fucking listen to myself talk all the time. It's so terrible.
No, but seriously, what type of person will be successful at that? When the pressure does come and the stress does come, who will do what it takes in order to make things happen, or will they just fold and give up? And
for me, it's honestly, it is a motivated, driven person, because those times when you're tired as shit and you're out there cleaning shit out of a dog crate and then you have to go in and train 3 dogs and it's the end of a very long day, you have to be motivated from within. This isn't, everybody talks about passion. It's my passion to train dogs, and this is, that's all I can see myself doing.
Yeah, but when shit gets hard, you have to keep looking. It's okay.
I totally have to do it. That's what we have this stuff for. You can't just be talking out of the background.
Oh God,
I gotta get her on camera. It's just so exciting.
So fast.
Yeah. No, you have to. The passion will wear off faster than anything else, and the passion for me will turn into a prison, and you'll go I fucking dug my own grave with this. I was making good money. It trapped me. And why am I doing this now? Because once you've trained several hundred dogs or more, and then you get into the thousands, you're that's not the thing anymore. And working with owners, sure, it's amazing to work with owners, and we've really helped some people along the way. Yeah, no, we truly do. Not to diminish that at all. We've made great friends out of it, and we've truly improved some people's lives, and when that happens, we feel on a high with it. It's truly it reminds you why you're doing it. But if you have a string of 3 really challenging dogs in a row that aren't doing well after they've gone home, and the owners are still struggling because they haven't quite put the pieces together and stuff, you're going to start questioning that, because it's not the bouncy golden retriever stuff. I mean, unless you choose to operate your business like that. That's definitely something we'll talk about down the road, is what kind of dogs and clients do you want to attract. So go ahead.
The type of person that can succeed is a motivated type of person.
These lives are going to be so much fucking better because you're a part of all of it. If I could just get the camera down.
Brain, so. No, but
It works for me sometimes.
So for you, I know that you are you're motivated, I think, by the challenge more so, or like, oh shit, we are running out of money, and so it's just like motivates you to bring in more clients.
We will also be talking about finances later, which I will not be the person to talk to.
I think the pressure actually works for you. That's just like, that's the nature of who you are, especially as a cop. And that was probably like every day, like the pressure's on, like this is how I do my job, there's scary shit going on, and that's just how you are.
Yeah.
But there's other people that don't do well with that kind of thing.
And I constantly have to remember that too, that is that in most walks of life, I'm an anomaly with some of those things. Some of the things that works really well for doesn't work well in the business sense, because that is a lot of the struggles I've had within the businesses. Like, fucking go here, do that. Like, try these 25 things.
Yeah, you're like the idea man.
Yeah.
But I mean, you made this happen, so.
Goddamn right I did. Yeah.
But you're definitely
We'll see how it turns
you're
out.
the dreamer, and I'm the one that's like planted on the ground, like trying to like grab you by the.
And I think it's super important if you're going to do this as a solo person, you still need to have somebody in your life that you can't just have a team of like cheerleaders that like, this is the best idea. It's like my mom. This is the best idea you've ever had. I'm like, well, I've had 50 ideas this week, and they're all the best ideas that I've ever had.
All the unfinished ones are still at your house in the garage.
Yeah, exactly. How good was that idea? How does that fucking crown molding around your front porch door? How does that look for you? Was that a good idea? That's a real thing.
The manger set that was like half painted.
No way. That manger set was totally painted. No, it was. That manger set.
She showed me all your unfinished projects.
That son of a bitch. She sold me out so bad. Like, no, I digress. That manger got finished, but the front door definitely didn't. So yeah, to your point of what kind of person excels at this, I think really in the broad sense, there's a lot of ways for a lot of different personalities to excel, but you need to understand yourself really well. I know you're going to talk about some 4 personality thing too. But I think that like, Jordan Peterson is a person that we've both listened to and followed, and I dissect a lot. I read his books, and he has on his, website, or its own website. It's Discover My Personality, I believe is what it is. And it will help you. It's a series of,
I still have not done that.
I haven't either. And I need, it's like literally on my fucking to-do list. So yeah. I definitely want to and need to, but and in one of the things that we're going to talk about doing is we're going to be having an apprenticeship program in the coming, we're going to launch it in 2022. It ain't happening in 2021. But one of the requirements for that will be, you have to do that personality test. Cause I think it would be vitally important for somebody that's going to come to us and, work with us, in that program, our apprenticeship program. I think it would be vitally important for us and them to know who you are, because who you are, camera angle. When I said that, I was like, who you are, and I pointed at the camera angle. Who you are is not who I am. And I think that's been my biggest stumbling block in becoming partners with you, is that, not like in life, but like in the business sense, and then watching you start and grow your own business. Shameless plug here. She owns a photography business. It's called Lux Imagery. Check it out. But you have literally grown a business from nothing. I'm going to say this, like, you really didn't know how to use a camera about 2.5 years ago. Like, these cameras that you see over, or stuff, that those were not our starting ones. Yeah, we had a pretty simple little one, and you took a basic class, and you have an artistic knack, and just took off with it. So like, no bullshit, you now own a business that is doing really well. You have a studio. What are you doing? Okay. Yeah, that's fine. So you have a studio now. You have like a lot of stuff that has happened in a very short period of time. And it's been painful for me at times to watch that, because your method of growth and your method of doing this is not mine. And I'm very much like, I'm going to get in there and fix this shit now. Like, if something's broken, give me a hammer. I'm going to just start wailing on it. And it's not good and it's not bad. Your way is your way. And I think my biggest lesson has been standing back and trying to support you in any way that I can. Like installing shiplap and painting it for 73 hours straight. fuck me, that was the worst thing I've ever done in my life with this paint ship lab. But
That's so nice.
it does look
By the way,
beautiful.
I'm thinking to paint the wall black.
I hate your guts right now. Like, really, honestly, if you weren't the mother of my daughter, I would probably just tell you, go out that door, be gone with you. You can do whatever you want. You can paint it whatever you choose. Like, I'll give you all the brushes and all the paint, and I'll watch the
I
baby.
only have a year and a half left on the lease.
Yeah, you wouldn't get it painted, and then if you wanted to paint it
Tear it all
something
down.
white, you would. That hurts my heart. So you have experience growing a business literally from scratch, from learning how to use a camera to growing this business, and I've watched that process, and I've had to stand back because it is not
Because
mine.
it wasn't fast enough for you.
No, it was it. It's just different than I would do it, but I have no stake in it. It's not my. It's the first time I've been a part of that. When I started my business, I had a business partner at the time, but he wasn't. They didn't do anything. Like he liked all the money and a lot of other stuff, but he wasn't involved in much. We got him there for training and stuff like that, but it was like really my baby to grow, and then we split pretty quickly on, like, right after I came back from TGD and stuff. So this has been mine to make all the mistakes with, and the guidance, and even though I've had employees who I trusted at the time and counseled with, this has been my decisions to make. And then now with you being here for the last 3 years, that's been our combined stuff, but even more so now that you're running your own business, and since the baby and stuff like that, it's kind of back on my shoulders to some extent. And so it's taught me the value of letting people do what works for them, and my way isn't the only way. And that's a very hard thing for me to understand is that, like, the things I excel at are unique to me and they've worked for me, but that's not you, and I can't train you and program you to do that. So that's what I would say for anybody that's out there thinking of it, is you do not have to be me to start a dog training business. You don't have to be Jeff Gelman to start a dog training business. So there's been some very successful dog trainers out there that are even more introverted than you are, and they've found the way to make this work for them. So in your journey as a dog training business owner, you have learned a lot, and then we've combined forces now and created this thing, and we've altered it drastically. I would say the structure and the foundation is the same as when you got up here, but what we do now is night and day different than then, and will continue to evolve and stuff. So I would say, like, it's not a certain type of personality. It just, you have to know your personality innately, and you have to be comfortable with the things you're good at and use those strengths. But one thing I will point out a lot is, and then I'll let you talk because I feel really bad. I'm a firm believer, like, play to your strengths and don't worry about your weaknesses. And I think that is really bad advice, because your weaknesses will always be weaknesses. And I say that from, from knowing somebody that's well known in this industry, and knowing a lot of things. I'm gonna abandon that train of thought there.
Everyone's gonna want to know.
Fuck, everybody's gonna know. No, but seriously, like, when you hide behind that thing, like, my weaknesses are my weaknesses. I'll say this right now: finances and math and paperwork and details and stuff, that's fucking horrible for me. But I don't have anybody to save me from that. And I think the biggest mistakes I've made is constantly trying to find somebody to like fill that void. And when in reality, I just need to get better at it. Like, you don't have to be a master at all of this stuff, but you have to at least know how to pay a bill, and you have to know what a profit and loss looks like, and you have to know how to talk to an accountant. I think you should hire an accountant at some point, but you might not be able to afford that. And I think that was a point I made on the video I posted, is you should definitely outsource things, like maybe web design, maybe graphics design. There's a lot of things you can outsource, but you might not have the money to do that. If you're still trying to use this job and save money, you don't have all of that money to do that. You will have to do some things, and by necessity, the very things that you're not good at in the beginning will be your crutches all the time. And you don't have to be an expert in it. I can't run fucking QuickBooks, but I could pay somebody to do it, and they showed me enough that I can look in there and I got it done. But avoiding stuff and hiding from your weaknesses and doubling down on your strengths, that will only exacerbate the weaknesses you have, because those strengths will push you farther and farther away, and those weaknesses are always still there. You can't get away from them until you make enough money to hire people to book your flights and pay your bills and wipe your ass. And so, like, yeah, I'll just leave that at that. You know, so.
No, but I mean, even when I came up and joined Gold Hill Canine, that kind of was going on. You had played to your strengths, and the business took off so fast that because you didn't address the things that maybe weren't in your strong suit, right off the bat, you were kind of like, I don't know, you were like, you had to dig yourself out of a little bit of a hole there. So, like, for instance, you didn't have a website, you didn't have any of this like back end stuff that would actually help you do things in a successful way and help you be efficient in the business. And so yeah, that's really important to be able to help outsource and find someone you can, you know, like your girlfriend at the time. Puts all that together.
Yeah.
But I think
Keep talking. I'm not tuning you out. I have to listen because Kyle says you're still.
I can hear my own microphone. Do I just need to speak louder?
No, you're good. Keep talking.
Okay. So what I think definitely it's different types of personality. Personality can still build a business and be successful entrepreneurs or successful dog trainers in this instance. But I think there's like smaller, more defined parts of a personality that actually probably wouldn't make you a great business owner, and maybe you wouldn't even what's that for?
You're make me a great business owner.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
You probably wouldn't even be in this position in the first place, is my guess. You wouldn't even be that type of person that's like, I'm going to start my own dog training business. But I read this book a while back. I'm actually in this women's entrepreneur group that I've been taking a little hiatus from because I've had a baby for 3 months and I have like the mental capacity to post on Instagram, and that's about it. But this book had it's called the Four Tendencies. And so there's 4 different types of categories of personalities. It's not like a personality, but it's just a type of personality that has to do with expectations. So expectations we put on ourselves, and then expectations that other people put on you. And I thought this was super interesting because can you hear me?
I can.
I thought it was super interesting because I resonated. I know that's like, you hate that word so much.
Okay, for the record, folks, this is super fucking pro podcast shit right there. So
that's all he cares about is his image.
No, yeah, it totally is my
Everyone
image.
just like this just because you like what he looks like.
Fucking old middle-aged man with 2 children. That's my image, folks. God, that is a little weird, isn't it? No, that's better. Okay. Yeah, for the record, it doesn't resonate with you. It doesn't. It's like you don't resonate with things. You don't like. Fuck. Stop using that. Yeah. You could say like that really resonated with me.
I just said that.
Okay, that's fine. That's useful. Sorry, I was listening to something else. Yeah, it's the big fucking buzzword
I said it
these days.
literally because you hate that word.
Yeah, but it's like the big buzzword these days,
it's
and
the
it
2020 like woo woo.
Yeah, and it's misused. So like I really resonated with that. Like you vibrated with the. Never mind.
All right.
Keep talking.
So moving on. So I'm just gonna. I think this is super interesting, and I'm sorry if you don't, but I'm just gonna go over what the 4 tendencies are. And I myself, so again, it's expectations that we hold on ourselves. Like I'm going to set up a workout plan, and I'm gonna do these things, and
fucking cameras.
And if you're able to actually do the workout because you put it on your calendar, you made a to-do list or something, you actually did the thing, then you're actually able to follow through with your own expectations that you put on yourself. Now, expectations that other people put on you would be like your boss at work, or say you needed me to do something, and I was like totally fine with doing it. So she breaks it down into these 4 categories. Come on, phone. I just need you to be open. So there's the upholder, which can meet others' expectations and meet their own expectations. That's totally who I am. I am able to follow directions. I like rules. Like she puts it here, discipline is my freedom. Like having rules and having to-do lists and having things that I know I need
When
to
did
do.
she write that book?
Why?
Or where did she write that? She fucking stole that from Jocko Willink.
I don't know about that.
He wrote a book called Discipline Equals Freedom.
This book was probably written before that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fucking Jocko
We'll
stole
check.
it from her then.
We'll check.
Note to self, check that. Somebody rips it.
So I'm totally an upholder. I love making to-do lists for myself. I love like for my work, and this is just so weird. I'm sorry. For my workouts and everything, I put something on the calendar and I'm doing it. If I didn't do it, I'm kind of like pissed off at myself. And so I know that you're not the cat first. I don't want to get into who I think you are, but I am the upholder. So I am like,
I feel like I
the
could be an
quintessential,
upholder.
like, I am a great business owner, entrepreneur, because I can set goals for myself and I know I'm going to attain them. But I also make a really great worker. Like, I work well as a team. If someone tells me to do something or a boss has expectations for me, I'm able to fulfill them because it's just like, it meets my own, like, I love it, right? So I make a really great worker bee and I make a really great person that can go on their own and do their own thing.
No, none of those.
But so there's also the obliger who meets others' expectations but can't meet their own inner expectations. So
Okay.
this is like, I know a lot of these types of people, and I know one in particular, like down at the Good Dog, people that do really well working in a company or working with a team, but you know, they try to set a workout schedule and they fail at that. They try to have an eating plan and they fail at that. They're wondering like, why do I keep failing at these things? Like, maybe the example she uses is this woman was on the track team in high school and she's like, I don't know, I used to run every single day, but now I'm in my 30s and I can't run. Like, I try to set a schedule for myself and I can't get myself out the door to run. What is the deal? I used to run all the time with the track team, and it's because she was able to meet those outer expectations but not able to actually like meet her own. And so I think it's really interesting because there are a lot of those types of people and they make really great employees, right? They don't make great business owners or dog trainers who own their own business.
Sure.
And then there's the questioner who resists.
You pointed right at me when you said that.
Because I think you are. I think you're a mixture of the two that I'm going to talk about now. The questioner resists outer expectations, but more so they question outer expectations. Someone will say, do this, and they're like, but why? Why do I have to do that? And I'm sort of a questioner. It's probably why I ask you a lot of questions and why questions. But they'll do those outer expectations if it makes sense to them. So if like it resonates with sorry, I had to. But they also meet inner expectations, and this is where I kind of think you fall into more of the rebel, because you don't always meet the inner expectations. You're kind of like, fuck you, inner self. I'm not really gonna do the thing that I put on my list to do for the week, just because, you know, who cares? This is more important over here today. So that brings me to the rebel, who resists outer expectations and resist inner expectations. They're basically like, yeah, fuck everyone's expectations. I'm just gonna do what I want when I want, and that's good for me. So I think like the questioners make really great entrepreneurs. The rebels probably could if it works for them. Maybe the mixture of the both is really great. And then of course the upholders too. So that I think those four tendencies. Okay, it's not really a huge deal to know maybe where you lie, but it could make a lot of sense if you go and take her quiz. You can find it, 4 tendencies on, I don't know, Google it. Maybe we'll link it somewhere on YouTube in our description.
Oh, we're gonna do that.
Yeah, we can totally link that. But you can take the quiz and see where you
I have to do that after the fact. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I can help you out.
Okay, cool. Maybe we
But
should
you can
pre-plan.
take the quiz and see kind of where you lie there, which might be able to help you out with like, figuring out how you can adjust your daily life or the things you're doing in order to help you succeed. So if you know you're an obliger, you need other people to hold you accountable. So maybe you need to go hire a trainer, or you need to be a part of like a weekly like volleyball thing. You know, like you go every week and people are counting on you to know you're going to be there to get your workout in. So I don't know. I think it's just super interesting. I'd love for you to take the quiz. I can see exactly what you are. But
Do you really think I need to take that quiz, or yeah? And
it's
I think
also why we butt heads sometimes too.
maybe. I think it's super important. I think it's super important to know that stuff, and I'm glad that you read that stuff and you know that about yourself and know that about me. I think in whatever, if you look at Jordan Peterson's thing or that thing, or there's a lot of different systems out there
so
that
many.
to check and everybody's got their own little thing. Having self-awareness. So the reason I can smile and the reason that I can laugh at that stuff is I know that. Like I'm not, it's not that I'm unaware of it. I'm actually hyper aware of my strengths and weaknesses. And
but there are people who do struggle and they're like, why can't I do this thing? I want so badly to like be able to hit these goals, and they're just like, why can't I do it? So maybe knowing a little bit about yourself and being self-aware will help you do that.
Absolutely. Keep talking about that for just 1 second. I have to change the battery on something.
I have no idea. We'll keep talking about that then. Yeah, so that book is by, let me just get the author's name here real quick. Gretchen Rubin, The Four Tendencies. Pretty interesting. She also has another book that helps you, I think it's all about expectations, I'm not sure, but I'm not good at just remembering like you are.
Get better at it.
So, are there any, I wonder if there are dog trainers out there that actually are more the obliger type, like people who, I think there are probably people who really want to have their own thing, but just are so comfortable being a part of another organization, or just way more comfortable being a trainer for someone. I don't know, I wonder if there are some people out there like that. We actually met a lot of employees at the, in Detroit. What was her name?
Kate,
yeah.
with Wagon Tails.
Wagon Tails, yeah. So she has
Not wagon like I'm towing a wagon or a covered wagon, but wagon like
apostrophe N.
wagon.
Yeah.
Yeah. GGIN.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So she has a lot of employees, and I think she has a lot of great dog trainers. And there's a couple that I think had like maybe some hopes and dreams about doing their own thing. But
one of them actually has gone out. Amanda.
Yeah?
Amanda.
She did?
She's
Oh,
on.
cool.
She's doing her own thing there. Because I follow those people because
I do too. I just don't scroll Instagram endlessly.
That sounds like a judgmental time. Like, so what about my 6 hours of screen time a day?
Feels bad about himself now.
I do. Sometimes I do feel very bad about that. To join the conversation again, now that I've switched up the battery, I think it's super important to be self-aware about that stuff. And that's where I think people would get themselves into, you're creeping into my shot. That's where I think people would get themselves into trouble the most, is not being aware of your shortcomings. And that's different than what I was saying earlier about knowing your shortcomings and then hiding from them and doubling down on your strengths. You just need to know what the personality stuff that you're talking about. You need to know about that. And I think it's also super important. There's a lot of books on this, but Aaron from Pixel Media has talked to me about that book about like starting stuff off and how people that are analyzers overanalyze stuff. So there's those things that you're talking about, and then there's also the personalities that I think the Jordan Peterson profile would help you, because they're the big 5 personality traits in his that are the most commonly accepted thing in psychology, which is, and forgive me if I don't get them right off the bat, it's conscientiousness, openness to new experiences.
This is why notes would be really important.
I don't know what I'm ever going to talk about sometimes. I'm not a note guy. I'm just not.
That's the other difference between us. I'm a planner and he is an off the cuff type person.
Yeah, sometimes it works out
That's
for me
why
and sometimes it works out for you.
together.
Yeah. But to your point where you said your personality type, the like first type that you talked about, you think makes a great entrepreneur. And I would agree with that because you have built a business and you have done really well doing that. And you've actually built a couple businesses, you know, like even though they were in their infancy stages, you still were launching them in Hawaii and then in Denver, and then and then you still helped with this business and have helped make drastic changes to improve it. But you've really proven it with your own business with Lux Imagery in the fact that you started it from ground zero like that. But some of those strengths also hinder you in some of that where and this is where I think the other personality profiles that maybe if you marry those 4 things that you're talking about with the 5 personality traits from Jordan Peterson things, you have a better awareness. And I think you probably have that awareness of those things, but the things that you're afraid to take chances on, you know, that you're risk averse on, or that you like failure to launch kind of stuff. You might not still have a business if I hadn't cajoled one of your friends into coming for your first.
Oh, no worry, I know.
Yeah. So like that's the type of
It's
stuff.
would have taken me a lot longer.
True. And in some of that, like the
because I would have put the pressure on myself eventually, but
yeah. And I think
as
the
had it
saying
written down,
is
I would
like
have done it, but
paralysis by analysis, you know, where you keep thinking about things and you
what's
keep
that
planning.
book? Just Start.
That's what I think I'm talking about, that Aaron was talking about, is just start. And it lays out how some people are just prone to overanalyzing stuff and prone to
Everything has to be perfect. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, please.
Everything has to be perfect before they get started. I think you're actually, I don't know if you're going to talk about this, but you're actually talking to someone about a workout plan, like they were wanting to get started with a workout plan. They're like, well, I want to wait till this day, and I want to like make sure I get to, I don't know, someone's party first. There's all these things that are kind of in the way of getting started, and I think that happens for a lot of people probably.
Yeah.
Like I don't have a perfect website. I don't have my logo made yet. No one cares about your logo. No one cares about your logo.
I made $200,000 our
just
second
get
year in
started.
business without a website. So, and we'll talk a lot about that in the future, websites and what they do for you. And I'm not suggesting that, but I was fine starting a business and running it without. I'm also a fidgeter. I was fine starting a business and running it without those things. And again, those things will come back to haunt you in the end and will inhibit you. And if you're not doing that, that's what we're going to help with, is because I was burning myself out on a lot of other things. And there was a lot of things that I overworked on where that could have alleviated it. But
what are some of those things?
those are for other podcasts.
Okay.
No, well, paperwork, we always had that pretty dialed, but just the way I was doing like client contact stuff, there was a lot of, there wasn't any, I mean, they had to like get a hold
I
of
thought
us.
you meant like the other things, like the rescue organization and the coffee company and.
Yeah. Sorry,
What just happened?
my camera just died.
Oh.
That camera. That's fine. Whatever. We'll finish that up. So.
We're almost done.
Yeah, that's why it says change battery pack. When you see this jump up. So some other technical glitch is had. That's why we're
We'll
using an
figure it out.
RP instead of that really expensive R5 sitting in that closet right now. So yeah, we'll figure it out. We got 2 other cameras here, and that one's on shore power, so we're fine. So yeah, there was a lot of things that you know, I'll talk more in depth about on other ones, of just being too scattered on that. And some of those things I think are helpful to explore if you're trying to get experience, but other things are not. You'll just be spread too thin. So I think having a real good awareness for this topic of a wantrepreneur is wanting to be a business owner is not enough to get you into this. And I said it on the video that I posted on YouTube, and the teaser for our Instagram too for this topic was, I think everybody that has a love of dogs can get through about a year of dog training as a business. You'll probably make a little bit of money, and if you have a good enough savings and you actually have a savings, I've heard those are things for adults to have. You can muddle through and not fail in a year, and you can basically run through that. Whether or not you'll be around in 3 years remains to be seen, and I would question that most of the people that I've met, will they be in business in 5 years? 5 years to me is the mark of, did you get through this? All the tribulations that'll come at you, all the things that'll happen, all the unforeseens, all of life challenges. In 5 years, you're going to get hit with those, and how will you navigate them? And our business has survived a lot of that. The person I'll throw out as like the epitome of that is fucking Mike Jones and Aaron from Primal Canine. Those people have gone through enough for like 7 businesses to happen. And while I know that there are a handful of dog trainers that weren't going to make it through COVID and we're going to have to shut down different places and we're really struggling, that's a lack of business savvy. That's a lack of business etiquette. That's a lack of business awareness. And that's again, a poor foundation for the facade of being a successful business, dog trainer. And at the very same time where I saw, well, lots of businesses, but specifically some dog training businesses that were like talking about closing their doors or closing locations and stuff like that. Primal Canine is fucking expanding stuff. Like they're killing it. They're coming out of this period of time with more shit than I've ever seen them do. And this is a guy that's been through more trials and tribulations in the time that I've known him. Almost the entire time I've been running this business, and most of the time he's been running his business. That dude should have quit multiple times, and he won't, and he keeps going, and he's coming out on the other side of that. And so do you have the guts to do that? Do you have the determination? Do you have what it takes, or are you willing to learn? Are you willing to start working on yourself and go like, well, it's a little hot today, or it's a little this, if you can't motivate yourself to get out of bed and work out or eat a little healthier or do certain things. And as I say that, I'm not the picture of that, but I know what I can motivate myself to do, and I know what I can't. I know what I will motivate myself to do, and I know what I struggle with.
Again, he's a rebel.
Yeah, exactly.
Rebel.
Nobody tells me to work out. I'll work out when I fucking plan on when I want to. So for me, really, the thing is being aware of who you are and what you are, and then understanding what your weaknesses are and working on those weaknesses. The strengths are great, but those are there. They were innate to you. Those will carry you through, and I think you should hone those and navigate and build a business around your strengths, but you should work hardest on your weaknesses to overcome that. The things that you've done well in your business is when you're pushing yourself. Like you're creative, you're artistic, you love your mission in that photography business. Like all of that stuff comes naturally to you, and so it'd be natural to gravitate towards that. But in reality, what you have focused on the most, and what you're listening to podcasts for, and reading books, and doing all kinds of stuff, is the things that you struggle with, because you can't pay anybody to do it right now. And so you have to be good at that. And that if you want to get to the goals that you've set for yourself, it's those weaknesses that are going to hold you back from it. It's the thing that your fear of pushing forward and stuff. Well, if you just succumb to that, your business, you'd still be just talking about it. You'd still wouldn't have a website, and you wouldn't have launched it, and you wouldn't have done a lot of things. So
maybe also having an idea of like what it takes to own a business. Like I think maybe some people go into it blindly, like I just love training dogs, but don't really realize that there's, they have to work with a lot of people, and they have to work with finances, and like what are all the other things that are pertinent to owning a business that maybe you didn't know about beforehand.
Yeah, we're going to talk about every single one of those today.
No.
No. And those are all super important topics, and we'll write a lot of those down. Like, and for anybody watching, or I'm going to sound super ignorant when I say this. I don't know how this works because I don't watch other people's lives after the fact. I don't know if you can come on here and, well, no, you could comment, right? This will be posted like a regular video, and I think you can comment later on. Yeah. Or jump on our Instagram, Gold Hill Canine, and shoot me a DM and say like, hey, can you cover this topic? Can you cover this aspect of dog training stuff? And between the two of us.
I think we really want to know what people are struggling with too. I think I've been in a position, maybe not you as much. I think you as a business owner, but are you playing footsie with me? I've been in a position where I've worked really long hours. I've trained lots of dogs every single day. I've had maybe a day off, sometimes no days off. And I know most dog trainer business owners probably have that. And so we can pretty much both relate to, the typical dog trainer, dog business owner out there, with like the struggles you're having and like how much you're working. And so, but we've kind of come to a place where we've made it a little bit easier for ourselves. And so we'd love to know kind of what people are struggling with, so we can maybe help make things easier for you. Are you seriously adding the battery? We're almost done.
You're supposed to keep talking. We'll see how long it goes, but I think we're gonna run some batteries that quick.
Yeah. So yeah, like you said, let us know kind of what, if there are any topics you want to have us chat about. And hopefully we'll have a better plan. Next time we can not go off on tangents as much, but they're fun tangents too. Right?
Yeah. That's the thing about the live. This isn't a scripted video. We do those,
Sure.
and we're gonna continue to do those. Those will be just a couple minutes, 10 to 15 minutes long of the topic and curated and stuff. But this is supposed to be the live where, and look at all the comments we got.
Holy cow!
Yeah, that's awesome.
Is it just your friend?
No, it's Kyle 69 GMC. I'm not exactly sure who they're. Somebody that definitely has listened to others. Oh, that's probably Corey. I think it's Corey.
So yeah, we can have. I'm telling you, you should watch a Trainer Road one because we can have not to boast them, but we can have kind of a plan, but also take questions here. Maybe do some live questions.
You say have a plan like I don't.
It's all in your head is the problem.
Yeah, it's all up here. No, I got it written down right there too. That's from July of last year.
Looks like you're super busy.
Yeah, it does, from July of last year. Yeah, I think that's super important is to and as our first one, this one's a little haphazard, but I think what we're trying to get across is should you own a business, should you work for yourself or for someone else? And I'll be the first to say, there is no shame in working for somebody else. You can make great money as a dog trainer or anything else in life, and clock out at the end of the day, and make sure you put those expectations on people and don't be burned out and let them do that. But you can take your vacations, and you don't have to worry about that unless you're on the schedule to worry about dogs that night. And there are things that come from working with other people. You don't have to worry about their website. You don't have to worry about this. Now, if they're not good business owners, you got to go find another business owner. But most of the stuff of running a business isn't on your shoulders. And if that's where you're at, I'm and Liz, we're giving you permission to go work for somebody else.
Yeah.
I actually know 2 people right now locally that still continue to work for a big dog training company. Starts with a K. Everybody knows it, especially out on the West Coast area here. You know what I'm talking about. They're from the Bay Area originally, and starts with K, ends with a U. Don't write this down. But that business brings in the clientele for these trainers, and they just simply and I know a lot of people working for them. I went to a seminar recently for protection stuff, and there was 4 people that showed up that are all regional trainers for this big company, and they do everything for you. You just train the dogs. I mean, you still got to work with clients and stuff directly, but they handle all the other logistics, and so maybe that's the route for you. Maybe that's the better way for people to go. That's the, I don't want to say safer route, because it's not being safe. It's just maybe that works best for you, and maybe you should do that. Maybe that's the smarter route for people. So understanding yourself innately and understanding what you would excel in, and I'll just be blunt when I say this. If you're not the type of person that can talk to people directly, and you're shy, and you're or hate people or just love dogs, and I'll say this too, because I've been around dogs and dog trainers my entire adult life. I started going to a professional trainer when I was probably 19 years old with my first dog, and that person taught me a lot about how to not be an asshole to clients. Amazing dog trainer on one aspect, and horrible with clients, horrible with people. One of the worst people I've ever known in my entire life. And so that, if you're that type of person, if just being around dogs is your jam, well, I'm sorry to tell you, at the end of the day, you have to work with people. For Liz and I, our bigger mission and our bigger thing is the dog owner side of it.
Yeah, I think it's a greater joy in the business too.
Sure.
We both love dogs, and training dogs is kind of, at this point, it's super easy, and it's not really fun anymore.
You took the words out of my mouth. It's like, not to boast, but it isn't the more challenging part of this.
Even the really challenging dogs, it's like, well, I've seen that before. You're not gonna. Well, we've had a couple surprises more recently.
There's been a few where we're like, hey, come in here.
Yeah.
It's 9 days into this, and this fucker won't down.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But I think, and I get more emotional probably than you do. Not probably, obviously I do. But I love helping owners, and it's like when we have really awesome clients and we're able to make a difference, that's like, at the end of the day, that is exactly why we do what we do.
But you've said it lots of times as well. You enjoy teaching. You enjoy interacting with that. You were a teacher for young students before you were in the dog stuff, and so you
coached volleyball. Like coaching is just, that is who I just, that's my jam. I love it, and so being able to help owners is a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, and you excel doing it. You're very good at it. You're patient, and you do well at explaining things to people in a manner that they can understand too, especially when you're really comfortable with the subject. You know, if I were to ask you to start talking about stuff you're not super comfortable with, then
hold on, let me do some research and find this. Figure this out first.
And that's actually going to be a topic for another thing, is the whole fake it till you make it mantra. I actually literally hate that fucking saying, is fake it.
But you did that.
No, I didn't. I had been messing around with dogs for over 20 years at that point. I didn't fake shit. I was faking parts of, well, I wasn't, because I was still in the like early stages of dog training, and I was exactly where I was supposed to be, like going over to people's houses for $50 and stuff. Yeah. I just happened to stumble across fucking Nala, who broke me, and that wasn't like I went to take that on. I just like, a friend from work who I'd worked with his dog was like, hey, I have these neighbors around the corner, and this is what the dog seems like, kind of out of control and stuff. But yeah, we'll talk about that a lot down the road. I think we should do a whole episode about it, is fake it till you make it. I absolutely fucking hate that for dog trainers, because here's why. This is a skilled profession. We talk about this all the time. My very last client from today, I don't think you've met her yet. The lady with the dog that was there, the golden, she's just like, and the lady prior to her, the one that dog has Addison's disease, which we'll talk about that some other time. This dog doesn't have an adrenal system. It does not function. And so he's got all kinds of stuff going on. And both of those ladies were sitting here talking. I'm not teaching their dog how to sit in front of them. I'm teaching them how to be better owners and stuff. And the last lady and her dog's like pretty damn good. She's like, I just learned so much about this stuff. And it hit me as like, not from an ego side of like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, because I'm a badass dog trainer. It's like, I've spent my whole adult life figuring this shit out, and still continue to, even though Liz and I talk about like, yeah, the dogs aren't super challenging for us now. And we relish those unique cases that come through, because now it does help add to our arsenal. It stimulates us to figure out why can't we get this dog down for 9 damn days, even though we've tried literally everything that we collectively know how to do. That's exciting to us, but it also adds to our well-rounded. That's not a fake it till you make it thing. So I don't want to get too much on that tangent now, because that's how it gets super
wrapped up on. I'm so hungry. I know you're hungry, but
I'm fucking hungry as shit. I haven't eaten since I had a bowl of cereal this morning. I've been doing this. I've been trying to get this all hooked up all day. Just been obsessive about it. So like, the point of all of that small mini rant is, if you can't work with owners, and if you don't have the skills, as a dog trainer, you need to go train dogs, and don't quit your fucking job. Like, you need to go get some serious skills. And whether that takes you a year, whether that takes you 5 years, I don't know. That's how much you're willing to put into it, and time and stuff. But you need to start working with a lot of dogs and start figuring this stuff out before you ever quit your job or anything. Nobody's fucking a talented dog trainer in the first year. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. So gaining those skills over time is really, really vital for helping your identity and helping you understand what you want to work with and what you don't. Maybe a dog comes after you and you're like, whoa, I don't want to work with aggressive dogs. That's not, I don't, oh, I'm almost tired too. Somebody's yawning over there. So like, helping to understand that stuff is really important, and getting out and working with dogs, maybe for free, maybe for little income, maybe volunteering. All that stuff will help you decide what kind of clients do you want, we'll help with that too. What kind of dogs do you want to be around and train? If big biting dogs scare you, stay the fuck away from them.
Not to draw in those types of dogs.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that. Yeah, I think that's a super important topic. A lot of topics. Like, we got a lot of topics to talk about. We're gonna write all those down.
Not all tonight.
No, definitely not. So, but those are the questions you need to be asking yourself as you're dreaming and scheming and planning, and those will help decide what type of journey to go on. But my basic premise to this whole thing is, if you struggle with in-person personal contact, this might not be the profession for you as a business owner. I don't know how you do it as just a dog trainer for somebody else, but there are plenty of dickheads out there that can just work for somebody else and then go work for somebody else and work for somebody else, and maybe you're really skilled and that gets you through it. I don't really know, but I'm here to tell you, like, as a business owner and like, first and foremost, you have to work towards that. And if that is not your strength, if talking in front of people and potentially crowds and, you know, in group classes, should you choose to do that, man, this isn't your jam. You know, you have to talk to people on the phone. You have to, like, I know we'll talk about this as well too, is like sales and should you sell? And I know there's a huge thing out there right now. It's like, you shouldn't sell and stuff. Again, I'm going to just say this as be like super fucking contrary. If you own a business that, I can't think of a business off the top of my head that isn't selling something. And to be a business owner and be successful at it, you have to sell. I don't care how you do it. We'll in other episodes, we'll talk about the multi ways to sell, how to put stuff on the website, how to not put stuff on the website, everything to get through that. But you still have to do it. Somehow you have to sell yourself. You have to market yourself. You have to be personable. You have to, if nobody ever met you before they walk through your door and you're going to do an evaluation on their dog and that's your business model, you got to sell right there. Because if you can't sell, those people walk out the door and go, that fucker was weird and can't talk to people. And like,
can't look me in the eye.
Yeah, like, there's no escaping it. There's not. So if that's your weakness and that's what you've identified and that terrifies you, go to Rotary Club meetings, go to well, maybe, you know, if you struggle with words and how to form them and stuff, go to speech class. Like, but there's a lot of things that you can do to get better. Film yourself every day talking to your fucking camera and then delete it or post it or whatever. You know, there's a lot that you can do to get better at it, because as a business owner, you can't pawn that off on somebody else in the beginning stages. Maybe you get through and then you finally find a dynamic person and that can do that and can pawn that off on them and they're the face of that. But the thing I would point out to you at that point is at some point that person's going to realize their value and go, why am I not doing this for myself and making all this money, and this schmuck over here can't talk to people and not even that great of a dog trainer, and yeah, like, you're going to fail. It's going to come to bite you in the ass at some point. So you're like so done, aren't you? Like, mom hit the wall on this. So. Well, we are an hour and 37 minutes into this anyways, and probably about 17 minutes of good, useful stuff. So,
yeah, probably an hour and 30 minutes over our stay.
I really think that we won't keep this to an hour probably, but I think an hour and a half is a good time. I think for me, getting into 2 hours, I'm fucking gloss over on shit. I do believe that that was Corey was 69 GMC. He said Cardi B is my hero. That means he's listened to Remedy podcast that he was actually a part of. So he can go fuck himself on that one. Yeah, I'm just kidding. I love you, Corey. And Unpro Kyle, man, he just like, that was great. Look at the amount of stuff he did. And then that's where our viewer, don't ever look at that little graph right there, because that hurts. When you watch, that's where people were watching, and then that's how many people were watching. And then see that plummet right there? That's where we died. 30 minutes in? No, that was at 8:55. We're fine. I don't know what time it is right now. Yeah, that was a while ago. People stopped watching. So, but we got a lot of great comments on that. That's pretty awesome. Kyle really did it there for us. He had to split a while ago, so he said thanks for sharing, and hope the best for all your endeavors. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Kyle.
Thanks, Kyle.
You're not still on here. Thank you for sticking around for our first one. Thank you, sweetheart, for being a part of this. That's even fun. Though I kind of thrust this onto you, like. Yeah. Sort of, but not really. I mean, you had a week to think about this because we failed last Wednesday. So.
We've had some ideas and plans on the back burner for a while, and I think we've wanted to do this for a while.
Yeah.
So
Here we are.
here we are.
We got it all done. It actually worked mostly. It sounds like I have a microphone issue to fix for you, and we'll figure that out.
Okay.
Maybe it's just that might really be it there. So thank you all. Thank you from the bottom of our heart for joining us, and we're going to catch you on the next one, and we'll start releasing a topic for next week. Go team. Good job. Sweet.